I don't get the Bible. 1 Corinthians chapter 8, show 1.
All right. Chapter 8, he starts by saying, now about food sacrificed to idols, which you've talked a lot about in the verse by verse teachings, verse by verse teachings.com.
Yes.
We know that we all possess knowledge, but knowledge puffs up while love builds up. That's the first thing he says. So, just to clarify, it seems like this is another thing that they're writing to him about. Would you say?
I think so.
Okay. And then this premise must be something they knew from Christ.
I don't think so. No.
Why would he say we know, we all know?
I think he's just saying everybody who's been around knows, I think.
We all possess knowledge puffs up while love builds.
We've learned
We know that we all possess knowledge.
Yeah, we know that we all have insights. We get it.
Okay, I see. So then those who think they know something do not yet know as they ought to know. But whoever loves God is known by God.
Very complex.
Yeah, like it made me wonder if people are not known by God, certain people.
Matt Slick sat here and said that God doesn't know anybody who doesn't believe in him. So
well, that seems to be verified right
there's
here.
that idea, yeah, that he only knows those who want to know him.
That's gnarly.
Yeah.
Do you think that?
Maybe that's why he says the only way to please him is but by faith, because he can't be pleased by non-faith. So he doesn't even know where it's coming from. I don't know. We don't know.
So what do you know? Why do you do this?
I don't know anything. I don't honestly know anything.
You know you had an experience.
Yeah, but that is a subjective thing that people just don't trust. So in terms of the world, I know what I experience. That's why I'm a subjectivist. I don't believe that we have objective things that we can hang our hat on when it comes to God. I believe that this table's here. I know that this table's here. Mm-hmm. But when it comes to spiritual things, metaphysical things, I don't know anything. Except that personally, I had an engagement with what I call is God. And I believe that he changed me. And I know that I have lived differently because of it. But I can't say that you can know the exact same thing because I don't know what his mind is.
Right.
Yeah.
Would you say, okay, but I don't think anyone's saying they know well, this isn't true. I think there's a way to say you know something that doesn't mean it's knowledge to somebody else.
How?
Well, you had an experience.
Yeah, but it's my view.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
but you can know something. It doesn't make it even true for someone else.
Right. And so if it doesn't make it true for someone else, then what's the point of even trying to share it? Because I can't prove anything through it.
Well, it's not a question of the point of trying to share it. It's just you can know something.
Yeah, I absolutely believe that we can know things individually, but I just don't know. I don't know that there's anything that we can say this proves God or non-God.
No.
Yeah.
No, but I'm just talking about you for yourself.
Me personally?
Yes.
Yeah, I know all kinds of things that I choose to believe as knowledge. Yeah.
Right.
But it's all still my interpretation of those things. And that can't be gotten around, or else I'm just going to wind up on a slippery slope of argumentation. Right. Religious zealots will say, "No, I know." And right. But the problem is there are other people who know that Donald Trump's an alien.
Yeah.
They know it.
Yeah.
So when you get into that realm, it doesn't make any sense.
No, to talk about what you know, I understand that
right.
not being important, but I'm asking you what you know.
Yeah, what I know personally, But I'll even hedge in that what I
Yeah.
believe, where
Okay.
I place my faith.
Yeah, like even your experience, like it's a belief that that was
It's a
God.
belief. And it's a trusting that that was him. Now, what do I have to prove that it was a belief in him and everything else? Well, I have years of seeking him,
Yeah.
and I have it being a Christian pastor sharing the message of him, and I have it all tied together in that. But maybe I constructed that house of cards.
Well, yeah. Would you say for yourself that you, okay, so wait, sorry. Is belief different than faith?
It is teased apart a little bit differently, but to add to the complexity, it's also used interchangeably.
Okay.
Yeah.
So like,
Because people can say even the devils believe. Faith is different.
oh, right. Okay. So you have faith in the fact that the experience that you had was God.
Yeah.
And you have faith in the fact that that experience is good for you
Yes.
and like leads you to being better.
It leads me into the kind of life that I have sought ardently, and that's a life of liberty.
Okay. And liberty to you, you have a faith also in the fact that liberty leads to selfless liberty in God from God leads to selfless sacrificial love.
It does in my case, yeah.
Okay.
I don't see love of any other description lending to liberty.
Okay. Right. The love leads to liberty, not the liberty leads to love.
Yeah.
Okay. And then I just the other night was thinking about this because like I'm obviously your daughter and like genetically things I think work for me in the way that it works for you. But like that idea of how you approach marriage and children is so rare now that I'm like often because all your daughters have like chosen to go that route and like I think they're better for it, but that leads to certain outcomes. Like it's because of certain priorities that you choose that.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't lead to you having a more fruitful like reputation in the art world or something.
Right.
Like you had to sacrifice your art for your family
For those
sort
things.
of.
Yeah.
So like things were sacrificed. So the priority is like just is through faith. Like it's a faith thing.
Always.
And it's faith that the marriage and children is just an example of trying to describe how faith plays a part. Like you don't know, but you have faith that the love that you have to learn to show from sacrificing to family and marriage leads to more liberty for you.
Yeah.
You have faith in that, but you have a lot of do you think you have a lot of evidence for that?
I have a lot of evidences that I use to support my faith, but they're my interpretation of those evidences.
Okay. So it's like, that's why you're like, maybe I'm trying to understand knowledge and where evidence comes in, because faith is without evidence, but like you'll talk a lot about things if they work or they don't work, and that seems like an evidence.
No, faith isn't without evidence. Faith is without knowledge. Yeah,
Evidence
we don't
of
know.
things unseen.
Yeah, there's a lot of evidences, and this is really simple. There's evidences that some people say that doesn't speak to me about anything valuable or of God, and there's evidence other people say this speaks to me as valuable and of God. And you use your evidences to support the faith that you want to have or the non-faith that you want to have. And that's been my point always in talking with atheists and everybody else. You walk by as much faith as I do. You just, yeah,
Yes.
yes, you have as
Okay.
much faith as I have. You just don't have it in the same place. I place my faith from the evidences I see on God. You
Yeah.
say no. That's all it is.
Yeah. The most recent conversation you had with atheists, that was the thing I got hung up on a lot, and I happened to comment a lot about. And their responses were, I'm like, how is your faith in what you see as true different from this faith?
Not one.
You don't see them differently, right?
There's not one bit difference in
They're
the
the
faith.
same.
Yeah, in fact, the
Yeah.
most religious person in that discussion was Bill Reel.
Yeah.
It was a religion of faith on him. Yeah,
On himself
right.
being equipped to, yeah, he
Yeah,
had faith in himself.
yeah. Which is
Yes.
why on the other side, I don't appreciate Christians who try to prove the faith through evidences by saying they know.
Yes. Yeah.
It's a waste of time.
Yeah.
You don't know that there is every animal in the world on the ark. You don't know that God created the world in 6 literal 24-hour periods.
I don't think we know that Christ lived.
We don't know
Yeah.
anything.
We
We
don't
don't
know
know. That's
anything.
why it's only
Yeah.
faith that pleases him. So when you find a Christian apologist saying they know, what they're saying is they're not pleasing to God because they know this thing. God doesn't care
Yeah.
about what we know. He wants us to have faith, which is why he remains so obscure and so difficult to find and understand. You have to seek and you have to decide if you believe it or not. I choose, because of my roadside experience, to believe, but I don't believe everything. I test it all. And I look at the evidences to support where I'm going to place my faith. The evidences for the Trinity do not exist for me to place my faith in it. So I won't.
Okay. So then why put so much emphasis on the Bible? Like it seems like it's used in a, I know it's like a frustrating question, but
No,
that's
it's
where I
not
get
frustrating.
to.
It's a fantastic question. The Bible is not a manual, it is a map. And maps are read in different ways by different people, and they're understood in the different ways of what route to take. The Bible gives us many different avenues, and they are known to us not by scholarship and not by human intellect. They're known by the Spirit. So when it's read with human intellect or by scholarship, it's interpreted differently as more of a law book than it is, or as a history book, than it is as a spiritual map for you to draw things from by the Spirit. I read it as a metaphysician. I read it in terms of concepts that aren't even here in this world, that people
Yeah.
don't care about them. That's why I see its value. Because when you do that, you start to see arcs in information that connect all over the place where you're not going to see them unless you have access to that view.
Okay. So you watch a movie that affects you really spiritually in the ways that align with what the Bible says, sacrificial love, all this stuff.
Yeah.
So, like, is that as valuable to you as the Bible?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because it's concurrent with the same thing I'm getting from the Bible.
Okay. So then why, like, in a discussion with, like, Bill Reel was a bad example because, like, talking about the Bible meant literally nothing. But even, like, another Christian or Bill, like, why is it that you'll really insist on the fact that you'll only take the Bible into account? You'll be like, well, the Bible doesn't say that. It says this. I'm going off of that.
Yeah.
But, like, you'll take art or other things you've learned into account. I understand you're trying to like maybe make a point or something, but like it kind of seems true. Like you'll discredit things because it isn't supported by what the Bible
Yeah,
says.
and that's because the Bible is the only material thing I have to look to and try to determine truth from. I don't have anything else. I don't view movies through their own value. I view them through the lens of understanding what the Bible says.
Mm-hmm.
You see,
Yes, yeah.
so I'm not trying to say the movie is teaching me something
The
better and
Bible
more.
couldn't. Yeah.
I'm saying that it supports these things that I see in the Bible.
Okay, so with
Music too, art too.
and that's because you going back to what we were saying, that's because you have a faith in the Bible.
Right.
And what does that come from? Like, why choose the Bible to have faith in over other things?
Because I have studied that book and I have seen its principles play out in a way that is akin to a chess master learning how to play chess in every conceivable way and then to state chess is the greatest game on earth. I have an understanding of it because I've put the time and effort to understand that book. I'm
Okay.
not saying anybody else has to,
Yeah.
but by doing that, I have tested what its contents bring. And I not only see a literal words that teach things, but I see concepts that there is no humanly possible way, concepts from authors writing back in Moses' day
Mm-hmm.
could so perfectly mesh and work with someone in Paul's.
Right.
They don't contradict in terms of that. They contradict in terms of words and
Yeah.
dates and stuff, but they don't contradict in terms of what the overall zeitgeist message is of the book.
Okay. So I think where I'm trying to get my question is like, what comes first? So hold on, there's like a few things. So you are saying the Bible, you're choosing to put your time and effort into knowing that the
Yeah,
most
I have.
because you really have tried a whole bunch of things and they don't work as well.
They're not consistent.
They're not consistent, but like what's consistent? So, first of all, that's to say what works is important to you.
Yes.
And that is a through line. Like faith, you're choosing to have faith in things that demonstrably work in your life. Like work is important. It working is important.
Functioning.
Yes. Like leading to working, meaning it's leading to the thing you're looking for, which is growth and liberty.
Which is what I think God wants us to have, which I get from reading that book.
Okay. Okay. But there's a step before that that's like you're reading it and you're evaluating everything based on a priority, which is liberty, and it's with reading from the Spirit, which, like you said, you can read the Bible in a certain way and it not serve you in the way that you're reading it. So you're evaluating all of the options based on a certain thing that you're looking for from it,
Yeah.
which is that it feeds your spirit, a spirit that gives you liberty.
Because that liberty allows me to be authentic.
Right.
Right. And nothing else will allow for authenticity in the way that that does.
Right.
Yeah. It allows for benevolent authenticity
Right.
versus malignant authenticity.
I think it seems to me like that is the priority.
It is in my life, which is
Yeah.
why I think it's all subjective.
Yes. Yeah.
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 And
For
somebody else
you, though.
may be pursuing it for different reasons. But let me say this, when I meet somebody who's never read the Bible, but they maintain the same traits, characteristics, objectives, I know the Spirit without the Bible has worked on them, and I agree with them. That's why the Bible is not first, the
Right.
Spirit is first.
Right.
Because where the Spirit of God is, there is liberty. The Spirit's fruit is love.
Yeah. Like, it seems like that's like a requirement for you that the Bible, that makes the Bible fit. Authentic liberty achieved from something you didn't find anywhere else.
Could not find,
And the
yeah.
Bible gives that to you.
Well, before we make that statement, just understand that when I first came to the roadside experience, which was a spiritual thing, yeah, I had read scriptures, but I didn't after that read the Bible, and I didn't go to church. That was 4 years of having to, yeah. And I just kept living the way I would live. I did all the things I would do, and I still struggled with my flesh tremendously because I didn't have anything to bounce it off. I knew that for me, that God loved me and that He did all this, but I didn't have any strength to follow Him in what He wanted because I didn't really understand what He wanted. I mean, I knew,
Yes.
don't lie, but my flesh was strong. It's by the reading of the Word, and this comes from the Bible, that it washes you by the Spirit of your false notions and replaces them with His notions of what's true. When that occurred, by that transference of that information into my mind by the Spirit, I started to get stronger. And I started to turn from the things that were limiting my authenticity and being true and good and wanting to be free. And it started to replace things that enhanced my authenticity while giving me freedom. So through that process, I was able to see there's value in this book in trying to read it contextually. Yeah.
Okay. But that is like very evident in witnessing your life. And this isn't me diminishing
Yeah.
anything. This is me like building, trying to like understand the whole world, like perspective. But like you're saying, and you've always said, everyone's going to pick what they want out of life. So like it seems like you chose authentic liberty and like maybe God at the same time. Like those were the things that were important.
I couldn't find authentic liberty in my estimation without God.
Without like, but so authentic liberty to you was most important, even above God. Like you've found like God is the most important thing to you because He gives authentic liberty.
Yeah.
And if there was something that gave authentic liberty better, you might do that.
Yeah, I could probably say I would agree with that because I don't see anything that could do that. I haven't seen anything that can do that, but I see a lot of promises, and I've tested all the promises, and they don't do it.
Yes, exactly.
So, where I may have started in what you're saying on seeking authentic liberty, when I found it through God, then He became more important than my authentic liberty.
Okay.
Yeah.
I understand. Okay, so and like that's why authentic liberty is your choice because it leads to a really full life for you and meaningful and for others. Like it's not self-serving.
No, it's not. Yeah.
And it works. Like you think a society would work better if everyone was going off of
Yeah.
that. So like I only find that to be more evidence of God. I'm not diminishing it. Like
Yeah.
I think He gives us the things we want this is just and I think obviously, but it
He
seems
says
like he
that.
gives people the things
The desires of their
they
heart.
desire, and then he like meets them and like figures out how to work with them through that.
Right.
And it seems like based on observing other people that they can get what they need out of the Bible, which
Yeah.
and out of a relationship with God. They can
They
he
get what
can,
and that's why the faith is subjective.
right.
Yeah.
Like so it's not because you're coming at it with a priority doesn't make it lesser to me. It's just it suggests why it's subjective.
Yeah.
But that is correct, you would say.
Yeah.
Like
That's what drove me.
your thing that you need was driving the search.
Right.
And other people don't have that same need. And that was so obvious in the Bill Reel interview. Like they don't have that need you do.
Right.
But they have other needs.
Yeah.
And they have really strong faith in the things that they have faith in
Sure.
because of those needs.
Yeah.
And it meets their needs.
Yeah.
But they're inferior.
Right.
Like they just lead to them. Yeah, like, but it's the same system working, and like they can't explain why they have a certain need and you have a certain need. And I think your system explains that. Like God gives us those needs and he like it's beautiful and cool, but
it's not something they want. It's not a need of
not
theirs.
something they want.
Yeah.
I'm really struggling with them. Like they don't.
But then in that you can see that they get the desires of their hearts.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's great. That's God.
And I don't judge them.
Yeah.
God gives them that. You have what you
Yeah.
want. That's why I see the afterlife as them having what they want, not being punished. God took care of the punishment through his son. This is how good he is. And that's why when you say he's so good that, Bill, you can do what you're doing and you're loved and you're not going to go to a place of punishment after this. But that reassurance or information is not important to that audience. They don't give a shit about that because they don't have any faith in a God. So, and they don't have any desire to tap into that sort of thinking. So I have to say, okay, I got to love you and move on.
Yeah. I think I thought up until now that it was as clear as people wanting themselves versus not themselves. But I think I'm finding that that's not how it starts. Like no one naturally chooses selfless first. And I thought it was that way before because I thought I was choosing selfless before. Like I kind of thought I worked like that. And I really don't. I'm seeing it so clear now how much I didn't. I had some weird sense of control for thinking that I was being selfless, and they're the same. Like they just think they're really like healthy and awake, and it's like, and so then they choose selflessness because they're better now than they were before.
Yeah.
And like, it's just to say we all like it's not a bad thing to start from a self-driven need. Yeah, your liberty that you need.
Not at all. And that's why Hobbes is right when he says self-interest guides us all. And we have to admit that. And that is why his grace is so good, because we come to him selfishly.
Yeah, totally.
In search for our own desires. He says, okay, let's work with that. And then he teaches you along the way how to be humble in response to what he does. That's what you don't see on the other side is the humility. You see, it's the Superman, right? And so some people don't want that humility. They don't want that kind of thing. But when I learned what he did and then what he's giving me and showing me that I can be authentically free, I was like, you got my whole trust, baby.
Totally.
You have it all. Yeah.
Yeah, he's someone he's something you can trust.
Yeah.
Because he takes you
As you are.
Yeah, that has a whole new meaning now, where
Yeah.
we really don't recognize him out of anything but self-interest.
Yeah. Oh, sure.
Everybody.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And, even the fact that I don't want to go to hell. Well, what is
Yeah.
that? That's
Yeah.
trying to escape, what you deserve and all this.
Yeah, I used to think that was like small-minded or something,
Oh.
though, to like reach in that way, but that really is everybody.
Yeah,
Even
you've
in
thought
the
through this.
largest.
And it seems like it has to be that if he's given his creations free will. So we are going to have the free will to be initially selfish. We all are. And that's why it says, he loved us first. He loved us. We didn't love him first, And that is the beauty of him again, is I've made you free. You can do what you want. I love you. I'm here if you want me. Most don't. Jesus said they just don't.
Yeah, I'm trying to understand how to speak to the atheist conversation now, though. Like, I just can't articulate what was so wrong about it to me, but it was, like I said, backward, and this was part of it. It's like they're coming at that from self-interest, like everybody is. And I didn't understand. I've had trouble with the fact that coming to God is through self-interest too. So if that's just on the table,
Sure.
that coming to God or whatever you come to is through self-interest, they're coming to where they're coming to for that too. And it works for them and they're allowed to have that. That's fine.
Yeah.
But they're arguing for the fact that they're really selfless. I think that's what bugs me so much. I can't tell what's like so bothersome about it.
You'll discover it.
It's condescending.
It's very condescending.
Whatever it was condescending.
Their way is elevated. Your way is archaic.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's bothersome.
Yeah.
And like, it shouldn't be. And again, I guess this is a preference thing because I'm coming at God from self-interest, but I like something that leads to humility more. I like that better.
Well, even if you don't like it better, what operates better?
Yeah, it doesn't operate better.
Yeah. I'm really am
Or it
a
does,
utilitarian. I really like what is pragmatic because I think that is how our world needs to operate. And pragmatically, boastful arrogance, condescending attitudes, mockery, and all of that is not the way to live.
Yeah.
But I choose that in part because I know that's what God wants, and also because it's not functional. You get a room full of arrogant people, you just don't get much done.
And it's because we're self-interested.
Yes.
Like that seems like a huge root of just everything.
Yeah.
Is that we're self-interested. God works through us that way and works on us with that and like with each other.
Yeah.
It's a condition of us. Like people want to argue that's not the case.
Yeah. So guess what? So we all come to him with our own motives and our own self-interest. How many people have you in your time in ministry seen come forward? They have all their agendas in place. They get faced with what God does with those agendas, and then they fade.
Yeah, it's everybody.
And that's what he does. Is he says, "Okay, you want to come to me? Let's see what your ambitions are." And then when he starts to knock those ambitions back, they don't want it. And so that's what reading the Word has helped me see, is that his ways are superior to mine and my self-interest, and I have to submit to that in order for him to show me more. And when I stepped on that path and I submitted to the biblical deontological ideas of something, forgiveness or whatever, when you submit to it and you see his ways better, you say, oh, let's try this way again on this. And then your taproot problems, they slowly come out of you because all the riffraff of stuff you've accepted, you've grown, you've matured, but he still has this stuff that he's working to get out of you. So he never makes this life easy. He's constant. And you have to submit yourself to that in his hands. And most people's self-interest won't allow them to do it.
So So, do you think that anyone's self-interest that leads them to God, whatever their issue is, you needing liberty, not that that's an issue, but like that all of them, whatever it is solved by a reduction of the self
Always.
through
An
God.
increase of him.
And he's the only thing that's going to bring that.
Yeah. Typically, yeah.
Like other things that claim it reduces the self are by like self-will, kind of like
They're either
Buddhism
by
or
self-will
something.
or they ultimately extol the self and uplift the
Yes.
self.
Right.
Yeah. And so his ways are always, because we're dealing with someone bigger and better than us,
Yeah.
his ways are always my way, not yours.
It's such a strange thing because that makes the believers in him the most unappealing people in this world because their self is brought down, and then it makes it a humbling thing in the first place to have to. It's a really strange system.
Yeah.
But I see how it's really intentional because of the way that we work.
Yeah.
Like,
And because all the argument is, Delaney, is everyone wants to be their own God. That's it from the beginning. We all want to be God. Adam and Eve wanted to be God. We'll eat of this knowledge, we'll become as you, and we'll do our own thing. It's like proverbial throughout the text, you know. And we find out what happens when humans become their own gods. We mess things up somewhere along the line, somehow.
yeah, and then there's the whole, like, I feel like there's a big movement right now, even in Christianity, about like fighting against the suppression of self that's happened for a long time, like saying it's natural, like all the church has done up until now is put people down and make shame and guilt a motivator for things that we naturally are. So there's like a swing the other direction that's like you're perfect as you are, which that isn't it. But like there is a balance here where reduction of the self for him is the goal, but he, when it's done through him, he gives us a way to maintain ourselves even more.
Ding,
That's
ding,
the
ding.
liberty thing.
That's the authenticity.
Yeah, like you haven't lost your desire for authentic liberty. You've only gained more of it.
That's why I'm free to do this, because that's what I kind of am.
Yeah.
And he knows that. And he doesn't want people looking to me. So I have the freedom to not care.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that people really don't like that.
They hate it.
They really don't like how free you are.
They hate this. They hate this. They hate these. They can't stand it. But this is all really how I feel.
Yeah.
You've seen me in my, this is how I am. It's only God who said, let's keep that guy.
Yeah.
But let's get rid of the bad parts of him.
Yeah. It's amazing.
And society wants to get rid of that guy.
Yeah.
And keep the bad parts.
Yeah. That's what, that's what the church is doing.
Yes.
And that's what Bill Reels do. Like everyone's trying to, and they think you're being selfish.
Yes. And proud.
For that reason.
Arrogant.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's so funny.
Yeah, but
it's hard to understand.
it is, isn't it?
Yeah.
And that's why it's so difficult to get this across.
Yeah.
And that's why I'm probably not the spokesperson, because I'm too much of who I am to articulate it well enough for people to really get it. And that's why maybe you might come forward and bring this stuff forward to what we're trying to say.
No, you demonstrate it, and people just
But not
have a
many
hard
people
time
know
with that.
me.
Yeah, but I think it just when it comes from, it's not that you are doing a bad or good job of it. It's that people can't like decipher the demonstration. They need someone to explain it or something. I feel like that's what's coming. It's like
It's like that caller on the show when I flipped him off. He said, "Oh, that's so Christian of you." We want to put forward these inauthentic expressions to be seen as Christian, when the reality is the Christians should be what they are, but trying to love and walk in faith. But it's not about an outward cultural thing. And that's why I hate culture in that sense.
Yeah.
I'm all for people enjoying their own culture, but don't make me become that part of that culture.
Yeah, yeah, I was thinking about that too. I was driving past the temple and I thought the Mormons are proud. Like I saw this beautiful freaking temple and then the buildings next to it. The Church of Jesus Christ, like success is the name of the game. The Mormons are really proud that they're successful and think it's a validation of the
Yeah.
truth. The critics are critical of it because it shows how slimy they are that they're that successful. But then the critics are critical of you because you like have
Don't care about it.
yeah, like don't, and like numbers aren't your focus.
Right.
And so there's big numbers, but they're like across the world and you don't organize and
Yeah.
stuff like that. So like they're saying like, where is the audience? There's only a few people here or whatever. And it's like, but you're critical of the Mormons for playing to that.
Yeah.
Like if you were to play to that, they would be as critical of you.
Right.
So it's like, I don't know why I brought that
So
up.
I'm going to springboard off that. So the only way to live an existence that's satisfactory to you is to not do what the Mormons tell you to do and not do what the others say to do, but be what you are. And when you do that with God as your wingman, so to speak, God as your king, then you can test the waters on how to live effectively and well. And it's work and everything else, but most people won't do it.
Yeah. And I don't mean to say yeah, and like I know. By
No,
the way.
no, yeah, no, I know, I get.
It seems like it's purely testing waters, which is like really messy. Like just in the previous episode, it made me think like doing church the way it's supposed to be done is really just learning. It's building off of what other people have done, so it's not messy. You have like a system in place for you to work through. It's like school.
Yeah.
Like you can do really well in school if you just abide by the system.
Yeah.
Like it's freaking easy.
Yeah.
And like it's really easy to do church that way too. You just learn what other people have said and then like think you're doing something by like contributing to it a little bit. But now you like break it down and you're just yourself. And you're learning, and it's really messy, and you've just done that publicly.
Yeah.
And
They want that order. They want that certainty. They want that pro forma that they've been taught. They want to see that. They want to hear that because that validates their experience as being right. And when they meet somebody who just says, there's no way, I mean, you become persona non grata.
yeah, but it really seems like God's made it this way. Like,
I just ask people to test it. That's it.
yeah,
check
you
it out.
literally do. You don't ask them to come here.
No.
You don't ask them to do anything.
No, don't do whatever you want. I don't care.
Understand.
And that's the thing that's why when I talk about Christ and his victory, I can include Hindus and Muslims and everybody, because when you meet them, if they are of the right spirit, even if their doctrine's off, and they have that genuine, authentic liberty to love and to love you, even if you're not of their faith, you know you've tapped into somebody who has the spirit of Christ with them versus a religionist.
And love, it seems like the significance of love being the gauge, after we just talked about everyone having their way that they get to this. So like there isn't the fact that everyone has their way of accessing God or like getting in their foot in the door being different and self-interested would mean it doesn't look a certain way. But then we got to the point that the thing that it looks like is a reduction of self with him. So love is the gauge, because that's the only thing that's selfless.
Selfless, sacrificial.
So
That's right.
you could say how selfless they are,
Yeah.
as sort of an exchange of how loving they are.
Which almost goes hand in hand with how humble they are. When you find pride, you usually find a problem in that mix. So that's why I believe the biblical tenet toward humility, selflessness, and love are superior to what the other things produce in people. I mean, I was a Randian. And I was the biggest effort on earth following her.
Yeah.
Because she just preached objectivism, and that turned me into a terrible person, and so does communism and all the things that I tapped into. So that's why when I found him, or he found me, whichever way it works, and he found me in my sin and accepted me as I was at that point without any other thing, I knew religion is not good. It is not real. It's the individual and God. Yeah, made possible by his son. This has been a great conversation.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. How long have we gone?
Way long.
Let's
but I
do.
don't care.
Let's do. It's 2:22. It's a good time to stop. Let's go to chapter 8 next time.
Oh my gosh, it's been 46 minutes.
That was awesome talk.
Thanks everyone for listening.
Thank you guys. If you're just checking.
He's reading his text.
Oh, we know.
My gosh. See you later.
Bye.
Thanks.